welcome to the College of Public Health Student Awards virtual ceremony. This is our second year in a row being virtual and hopefully our last. This ceremony will recognize our student leaders and winners of the College of Public Health Student Awards. I want to thank each of you for tuning in and everyone who helped bring this event to fruition. Before we get started, I'd like to go over a few housekeeping details. If you haven't already, please mute your microphone. That helps with feedback and it helps us better hear our speakers. If you are able, I encourage you to turn on your camera to show support to our winners and our Honor Society inductees. The ceremony is also being recorded, so it can be uploaded to our college's YouTube next week, so stay tuned for that. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, I'd like to welcome Dean Donna Arnett of the College of Public Health for opening remarks.
Thank you, Jillian, and good afternoon. And I'm just delighted to be with you here today to celebrate the achievements of our students in this academic year. It's truly been a year like no other, with its challenges of social distancing, remote teaching and learning, and public and personal hardships. And yet you've risen to every challenge with determination, grit, and grace. You've studied, volunteered, cared for each other, and protected and respected our campus community. And we are here today to honor you for your excellence in academics, service, and leadership. Most of all, we're here to celebrate you and all that you have brought to our community, the College of Public Health, and will continue to bring to the world beyond UK. So thank you, and I look forward to a fabulous presentation.
Okay, thank you, Dean Arnett. At this time, we will recognize the student and faculty inductees of Delta Omega and Upsilon Phi Delta, our two college honor societies. But before we begin, let's hear a few words from our special guest, Dr. Tim Tracy. Dr. Richard Sarnagel will introduce our guest speaker.
Thank you, Jillian. Many of you actually know Dr. Tracy. He spent several years at the University of Kentucky in roles including Dean and Provost. Dr. Tracy has also been inducted into Delta Omega as an honorary member and has been with Aprecia Pharmaceuticals and more recently Tracy Consultants. And he's going to speak to us today. So Dr. Tracy, if you would.
Thank you, Richard. And someone raise their hand to make sure I can be heard? I usually do this to the audience when I'm in person, so we'll do it here. I always like to check. So it's a great honor to be here, and I want to thank Richard for the invitation. And it's also good to see a number of friends on the screen. Some of you I've seen a little more recently in College of Public Health philanthropy meetings, and some it's been a little longer, so it's good to be here today, and I appreciate that. So I want to tell you a story first. This is a story from some of my experiences. When I was a graduate student, I was given what most graduate students are given, and that's an assistantship, a teaching assistantship. And if you've had a teaching assistant in your classes, you know that they help the professor. They usually grade papers, they may give some lectures, and they usually help to set up exams. Well, one of my jobs at Purdue as a teaching assistant was to help set up the exams. And so working with Dr. Nick Popovich, we always gave the exam in a great big lecture hall. So imagine Memorial Hall in Lexington on steroids. This was a very big lecture hall where we could place the students every other seat, front and back, so nobody could copy off each other, the whole rigmarole that you all know very well. Well, being pharmacists, we're anal retentive obsessive compulsives. And so we get there very early and we set up the exams very early. And it's still another 15 minutes before the students are going to be arriving. So Dr. Popovich said to me, Tim, I want you to go to the last row of this big hall. And I want you to go to the last row in the last seat. And I want you to read what's inscribed on that desktop. Now, I don't know about you, but at least when I was in college, it was rather colorful. And there was usually unique things on the desktops. But I walked all the way to the back of this big lecture hall. It held about 600 people, so it was a huge room. And I went to the last seat, and I looked at the desktop, and it said, and the room, by the way, the room was called Chem 200. chemistry, room 200. And it said, if I had but one life to live, I would want to spend it in Chem 200 because it would be the longest hour of my life. I will try not to make this the longest 10 minutes of your life, but hopefully we can have a little bit of fun today and talk a little bit about careers. And so I want to start with, and I know you've got your mics turned off, but I'm going to give you a Jeopardy question or Jeopardy answer and see if you have the question. So my Jeopardy final answer is under the category of metamorphosis. You've all had biology, so metamorphosis. And the final Jeopardy answer is 10, the number 10. So what's the question? Not a very easy one, is it? So I would sing the Jeopardy song, but then everybody would turn off and that would end the discussion very quickly. But the question is, what is the average number of jobs you as graduating high school or college graduates will hold by the time you are 38 years old? 10. You on average will hold 10 different jobs by the time you are 38. And that's the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. So I'll even give you the source of where I got the information. I think it goes to say that career evolution, and which is what I'd like to make the theme of my talk today, is something that you will have to live for the rest of your lives. And I have certainly lived it in mine, and I think it's accelerating even more, is the need to constantly evolve in your career. So let me give you a few facts and some keys to success, or what I believe are keys to success in career evolution. First and foremost, you must constantly learn new skills and reinvent yourselves. And I'll give you a lot of things along the way, examples from my life, but also other things. But let me give you a couple more statistics to reinforce that idea. 1 in 4 individuals have been in their current job less than 1 year. 1 in 4 people have been in their current job less than 1 year. 1 in 2 people have been in their current job less than 5 years. We are changing jobs very, very rapidly. And in fact, let me read you some of the most in-demand jobs right now. Cloud specialist, esport athlete, Zoom manager, we're all on Zoom, drone pilot, transformation manager, Uber driver, data scientist, big data architect, app developer, fintech manager, blockchain manager. Most of those jobs didn't even exist 10 years ago, and yet they are the most in-demand jobs today. Now, we could go through public health, and we'll do that a little bit as we go along. You can begin to imagine you can do the exact same exercise in public health. So the world is changing so fast that the jobs that you will likely be doing in 10 to 15 years haven't even been invented yet. They don't exist, but yet you will be performing those jobs by the time you're 40. So what I ask you is that when you take a job, your first job, and this is a bet that I used to make with the students when I would interview students in our freshman class, our pharmacy class, I'd say, I will bet anyone in this room $1,000. $1,000 that the job you take out of pharmacy school or out of college will not be the last job you'll ever hold. I've never had anybody ever take me up on it. I'll give you the same offer, $1,000, that it will not be your last job. So what I think you should do when you take that first job is say, what in that job will I learn that prepares me for the job after that? So many people look at a job and say, can I do the job? Well, I would argue you shouldn't be applying if you didn't think you could do the job. So ask yourself, how can it help me stretch, learn, and grow to prepare me for the job after that? Because that will then begin helping you set that trajectory, because there will be another job. and it will require new skills and new knowledge. And so how can I begin to prepare for that by saying, will this job help me to learn new things and allow me to be prepared to do more things? The other thing you must do is put yourself in positions to acquire new knowledge and learn new skills. I remember as an assistant professor at West Virginia University, I got asked to lead strategic planning for the college in the transition to the entry-level PharmD program. And I said, why in the world would you ask an assistant professor to do that? Now, that's probably not the smartest thing for a dean to do in terms of that person's career, but for mine, it was tremendously valuable because I had to learn a lot of new things and learn how to work with people from a variety of disciplines, to work with people who maybe did not necessarily like each other or from different departments, had different goals, and bring them together in one concerted fashion. Was it hard? Yes. Was it extra work? Yes. But did I learn a tremendous amount from that? Absolutely. And so I welcomed that opportunity, but it is something that you've got to be willing to take on new things and learn new skills. You got to be willing to step out of your comfort zone. Realize that you will make mistakes. I could write a book on how not to get a grant. I know just about every way in the world not to get a research grant. And along the way, I think I've gotten a few, but I could write a book on how not to get one. And I have certainly learned more from my mistakes than I have from my successes. Many times you don't even understand how the success happened, but the mistakes clearly are learning experiences for you. And so be willing to try new things and understand that you will make mistakes. And as I say to people who come to me with problems, I ask them one question. I specifically remember a faculty coming to me on a Friday afternoon and saying, I really hate to bring this to you on a Friday afternoon, but I've got a real problem. It was a very serious personnel issue. And I asked him the question, I said, did anybody die? And he said, well, no. I said, because I can't fix death, but everything else we can work on. And I think you could take the same attitude and say, problems will happen, mistakes will happen, but we can work on almost all of them and we can make it better. So let me give you a couple more things that are going on that I think are really changing the job landscape and what you are doing. It is estimated that there will be 44 zettabytes of data generated this year. And I had to look up what a zettabyte was. It wasn't clear to me. It happens to be times 10 to the 21st. Now, I have a hard time fathoming just how big that is, but that's the new data that would be generated this year. And in fact, 90% of the data we have in the world today has been generated in just the last few years. Remember that big data architect, cloud specialist, those jobs? That's what we're talking about. There are 35 billion devices connected to the internet. 35 billion devices connected to the internet. Have you gone to Lowe's or Home Depot lately? Our refrigerators are connected to the internet. It's amazing what is connected. Now that has other implications that I won't even go into today, but that is just the connectedness that we have. Technological information is doubling every 2 years. Doubling every 2 years. And you have a wonderful faculty, but if you are in a technical field, half of what they've taught you is out of date in 3 years. That's pretty scary, actually, for me as an old guy and trying to adapt all this. But think about that. Doubling every 2 years. There are more than 3.8 billion people who own a smartphone. There are only 7.8 billion people in the world. And yet half the people in the world own a smartphone. I think back to, this is how old I am. I remember when we had rotary dial telephones. We didn't have cell phones. My kids look at those like, what was that thing? But now you all transfer money by Venmo when you go out to eat. You use your phone to do it. We had to go to the bank, walk into the teller and get cash. It's changed that much. And you can just see it continuing to grow in that way. So that the amount of data that we have coming out today, the usage of that data, and then the access that people have is really quite phenomenal. So how does this all relate to public health? And as Dean Arnett has taught me, the social, the economic, the environmental, and the cultural determinants of health. Did I get that pretty close? Shakes her head. I listen to one every once in a while. But let's just think about the last year. We're all sitting here on Zoom talking to each other. I'm in Huntsville, Alabama. You're, I assume, mostly in Lexington, Kentucky, or somewhere nearby. But yet, we don't have to be together. And let's just think about health. Telehealth has exploded. It's been around for a while, but telehealth exploded in the last year. There are companies like Teladoc who have multi-billion-dollar valuations because now we do our physician's visits electronically. We don't even have to leave our home. Smart devices. I have one of these Fitbit scales, which if I let it, I turned it off for the betterment of my mental health, will actually transmit my weight every morning to my phone and keep a record of it. And if I want, it can transmit it on to my physician. A patient with congestive heart failure, that might be very good for them to monitor their congestive heart failure every day. Many of you, I'm sure, have an Apple Watch like I do. Certainly heart rate has been a part of that for a long time, but now it can even tell you if you're having an arrhythmia. The EKG function, we've had EKG machines that sit on a cell phone for several years now. Eric Topol now in San Diego is one of the inventors of that. But we've had that available. So all of that is connected to the internet and can deliver information in real time. Let's think about surveillance and monitoring, environmental surveillance. You know, I've worked with several companies lately who are working on ways of monitoring air quality at home. And there's certainly been some ways to do that for a while, but even more obscure air readings than carbon monoxide or radon, but other things, you could monitor homes in real time just by some kind of localized monitoring device and relaying it over the internet. I worked with a company that is measuring drug concentrations and other biochemical values in sweat and transmitting it back for patient use. Water quality. I know you have a group that works on water quality. Monitoring water quality and getting those readings coming in is certainly another case. We have apps that measure well-being and mental health. We have precision medicine, something Dr. Arnett and I are passionate about, precision medicine and pharmacogenetics and genotypes and phenotypes. We have ways now to monitor those and use those for helping patients. How do we synthesize the data, though, from a variety of those inputs, electronic and population data, to determine how best to care for someone or how best to assess their health or a population's health? How do we do that? That certainly brings a lot of large database management usage and skills needed, but it also creates a whole nother set of issues around privacy and information security. And we've certainly had enough of those breaches in the last few months to say we also have to be careful about that. But there's certainly many opportunities there, I think, for public health to play a significant role. And I'm going to make a challenge to all of you that are all you students and faculty as well. I would challenge you to sometime before the end of this year, go to a seminar or a lecture on geographic information systems. You use it a lot, whether you realize it or not. If you look at all of your COVID databases, they're almost all based on geographic information systems. In fact, look at the little tag arcgis.com is usually on most of them, at least it is here in Alabama. And how can you use that to better monitor and help people with public health? You know, we can get down not just to zip codes, but to city blocks and begin to monitor sentinel events and things that are happening through GIS. And I again, from my narrow perspective, which is probably not the full public health perspective, I see many opportunities to do things like that and begin to really understand trends and things that are happening and deal with it much more effectively, efficiently, and quickly. And as far as speed goes, I want to mention one more thing about the speed of change, and that is in 2010, it was taking about 10 years to develop a vaccine. In 2020, we developed the COVID vaccine in 9 months. That's pretty phenomenal. And that tells you how fast vaccine research and development had progressed in just 10 years. To go from a 10-year time frame for developing a vaccine to 9 months is really pretty phenomenal. So as I said, I've had many opportunities throughout my career. I came from a very small town, 800 people. If any of you have ever been to Southern Ohio or Southeastern Ohio, you may have heard of South Webster. It's a thriving metropolis of 800 people, and it has one flashing yellow light. That is the extent of it. My high school graduating class was the largest at 72. And yet I was fortunate enough to get into Ohio Northern University and go to pharmacy school with the goal of owning my own pharmacy. I first went to work for some places, found myself working at 7 different pharmacies at the same time. That's probably not good for your physical or mental health, but it was what I was doing. But I then got the opportunity to go to graduate school, a postdoc. And as I said, teaching at West Virginia, working on a strategic plan really helped me develop some skills in terms of working with people across departments, setting visions, missions. Allowed me to go to the University of Minnesota, where I became a department head, and where Dr. Arnett and I were together for a while there at Minnesota, she and her Golden Project. But there I actually became head of clinical research for the university and their CTSA grant process, which gave me, again, additional skills. I also had a minor in marketing in college, and that helped tremendously when I was a dean because you have to manage budgets. And that year of accounting sure came in handy, but also understanding marketing to students in the college, which allowed me to get picked to work on a university budget model, which somehow I then ended up being provost, and then a CEO of a company, and then a consultant. And what Dr. Arnett doesn't know is I now have another company, and I'm CEO of a biotech company developing a new drug for cancer, pancreatic cancer. So my career has certainly evolved over the past 30 years or so. I started out as a young man wanting to own my own pharmacy. I completely failed at that. I was a miserable failure. I never did make that. But it's led me to a lot of interesting things and a lot of interesting people, and a chance to work with wonderful colleges like the College of Public Health. So my closing advice for you is that the world is constantly changing. You must change with it. What we know today will certainly not be sufficient for tomorrow, but I encourage you to continue to acquire new knowledge, new skills. Your future depends on it, and maybe selfishly, so does mine. Depends on you acquiring those new skills. So I wish you all the best of luck. I congratulate you on your awards, and thank you again for the opportunity to speak with you today.
Thank you for your talk, Dr. Tracy. I think many of us can relate to some of what you've said, either on a personal level through our own career trajectories or through our experiences with technology and learning. I think opportunities and challenges ahead. Again, Dr. Tracy, thank you. At this juncture, we'd like to introduce the students and faculty members who are going to be inducted into the UK College of Public Health chapter of the Delta Omega Honorary Society in Public Health. The Delta Omega Honorary Society was established almost 100 years ago, 1924, but today consists of 100 plus chapters and more than 20,000 members. And student members are selected on the basis of academic excellence. And we're very happy to be inducting 6 students today, and right after that, 2 faculty members as well. So the student inductees for the UK College of Public Health chapter of Delta Omega this year are Jack Poehler, Kylie Pipgrass, Abby Rose Peck, Ariel Griffin, Brooke Spillman, and Nargis Fatima Hussein. We congratulate our 6 student inductees, and we have also 2 faculty inductees. We have Dr. Anna Hoover in the Department of Preventive Medicine and Environmental Health, and we have Dr. Sarah Wackerbarth in the Department of Health Management and Policy. And Dr. Wackerbarth also serves the college as the Associate Dean for Student and Academic Affairs. So congratulations to all. And Jillian, back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Charnigo, and congratulations to the inductees. Dr. Wackerbarth will now announce the names of Upsilon Phi Delta inductees.
Thank you, Jillian. The mission of Upsilon Phi Delta Honor Society is to recognize, reward, and encourage academic excellence in the study of health management and policy. To be eligible, students must be in their final year of study and have at least a 3.5 cumulative GPA. Today, we have several inductees, and I've asked Benji Bryant to read their names.
All right. Kristen Boone, Brianna Butler, Kayla Darty, Brenton William Hill, Brooke Logston, Allison Miller McNamara, Kara Metz, Justin Milton, Kenneth Newsbacher, Felisa R. Patel, Wesley Qualls, Jennifer Stocks Candelaria, Amber Williams, Talia M. Woody, Chris Yost, and Jose Chavez Ruvacaba. And Leighton Dupree.
All right, thank you, Benji, and thank you, Dr. Wackerbarth. And congratulations once again to all of our inductees. We will now recognize all of the College of Public Health Student Award winners. These winners were nominated by the College of Public Health community and were selected by a group of CPH alumni and staff. Each student award comes with a $100 check, a plaque, and a certificate. Dean Arnett will announce our winners.
All right. So our winners for, and I have to find our definition of our awardees. Okay. So we have an award for Abby Peck to Paul Norad. And this is the Howard Boast Leadership Award. And that leadership award goes to Kayla Doherty. All right, now we have the John Wiggs Golden Rule Award to Angelina Izguerra. And our second John Wiggs Golden Rule Award winner is Ariel Arthur.
Woo! Go Ariel.
Yeah, we need a little noise on this call, don't you think?
Thank you.
Our Undergraduate Research Award goes to Jack Poehler. Our Outstanding Bachelor of Public Health student is Anaya Greenwade. Our Outstanding Master of Health Administration Student Award, a double award winner here, Jose Chavez Ruvalcaba. Our Outstanding Master of Public Health Student Award also goes to Cynthia Mofananya.
Woo!
Good for the noise. Our Outstanding Master of Public Health Award for Epidemiology goes to Ripley Lucas.
Whoop, whoop.
Our Outstanding Master of Public Health Student Award for Health, Behavior, and Society goes to Laura Belnier.
Woo, go Laura.
Our Outstanding Master of Public Health Student Award for Health Management and Policy for the HISPA program is Marilyn Campbell. And our Outstanding Doctoral Student Award in Epidemiology and Biostatistics goes to Adam Dugan.
Woo, woo.
And our Outstanding Award for the Doctor of Public Health degree goes to Paul Norad.
All right, congratulations to all of our winners. At this time, I'd like to introduce Ali Husick, President of Student Public Health Association, who will present the Golden Apple Award.
The Golden Apple Award is a faculty award exclusively nominated and voted on by students. The award goes to a College of Public Health faculty member who has demonstrated a commitment to teaching excellence and care for students. Today's recipient of the Golden Apple Award received numerous nominations and a landslide number of votes. I have personally had the pleasure of having her as a professor twice during my time within the College of Public Health. It is my honor to announce Professor Jennifer Daddysman as the winner of the College of Public Health Golden Apple Award. Congrats.
Great. Thank you, Ali, and thank you, Professor Daddysman, for all that you do for our students. Speaking of students, Benji Bryant will now recognize our student leaders.
Thank you, Jillian. The College of Public Health is a small college with a strong student leadership. Many of our students are presidents of campus and community organizations, peer mentors, public health researchers, and full-time practitioners in the field. At this time, I would like to recognize the executive leadership of the Student Public Alumni Association. President Ali Husick, Vice President Sarah Robbins, Treasurer Juliana Maita, Secretary Ripley Lucas, and Social Media Chair Hasim Ahmad. Let's give a round of applause. Next, I'd like to recognize the executive leadership of the Masters of Health Administration Student Association. President Kayla Daughtry, Vice President Logan Carroll, Recruitment Chair Kara Metz, Secretary Jennifer Tabares, Treasurer Wesley Qualls, and GSC Representative Brooke Logston. Congratulations and thank you for all of your efforts. Lastly, but certainly not least, I would like to recognize our student ambassadors. These students help us bridge the gap between application and matriculation and have helped tremendously this year with the digital recruitment events, one-on-one conversations with potential students, and peer mentorships. I would also like to add that during this year of virtual learning, these students have given up several hours of their own free time to better the college and assist with incoming students. So without further ado, I'd like to personally thank Juliana Maita, Abby Peck, Jacqueline Volmer, Ali Husek, Angelina Angelina Isgaria, Sakruthi Urim Reddy, Sarah Jane Robbins, Daniela Nakanoja, and Manasa Manchikanti. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. And I want to say a big congrats to all our winners and a big thank you to our student leaders. I personally have had the opportunity to work with several of our students this year. And to be honest, it has been the highlight of the pandemic is getting to work with our students and continue to the future of public health. I want to hand the stage back to our dean for closing remarks.
All right, well, first and foremost, I think it's time that we make some noise for our awardees. You know, I know that we all long to be back in person. I would love to be having, you know, a celebration in person with food and decorations. That's what we all are longing for. And, you know, we in public health, we're ready to, we've rolled up our sleeves, we've gotten our vaccines, we're ready to get together, and hopefully that day is coming soon. But before I conclude, I do want everyone to turn off their mute button. And on the count of 3, we're going to make some noise. 1, 2, 3. Yippee! Awardees! And if anyone wants to shout out something special to one of their friends, now is the time to do it. We won't care.
Good job, Ripley. You did it.
Good job, Laura.
Good job, Ariel. You the GOAT. You the GOAT, Ariel. You the GOAT, Ariel. You the GOAT.
Thank you. Congratulations, Laura and Abby.
Any more? We need fun and levity.
Woo!
Okay. Well, I want to thank all, a very special thank you to my dear friend and colleague, Dr. Tim Tracy, for giving us his inductee speech to our wonderful Delta Omega Society. Thank you, Dr. Tracy. It's wonderful to see you again. Thank you to our faculty winners. Jennifer Daddysman is a repeat winner, so congratulations. We're very proud of you. And Sarah, congratulations to you as well for being inducted along with Anna Hoover into Delta Omega. So for the rest of our awardees, our students, you're really the heart and soul of our college. We have missed seeing you this year. For those of you who haven't been teaching in person, I know it's been, people are longing for that connection again in the classroom, and we're longing to see you. For those of you who are graduating this year, I hope to see you at the ceremony on May 14th at Rupp Arena. We're with, I think, 3 other colleges, smaller colleges, so looking forward to that. Appreciate everyone showing us their puppy pictures and real life puppy dogs in their laps. They always bring a warm smile. Oh, there's another one. Congratulations on all the puppies. You don't want mine in the picture because there's 5 of them and they make a lot of noise. So you are our heart and soul. We appreciate you. We wish you the best in your next 10 careers for those of you who are graduating. And thank you for attending today. Goodbye.